Learn about the handyman who mastered creation, the one word that contains the most wisdom, and why Beethoven could have been in a reggae band.
Welcome to No Bow Tie, where we conquer emptiness and frustration, discover our uniqueness, and live with unrelenting joy. I'm John No Bow Tie Swoboda, author and musician. Today, we're going to talk about how to finally reach that vision that burns inside of you but seems outside of your reach. Be sure to subscribe. I've gone through many times in my life when things just started to collapse because all of my dreams and visions, I was just tripping over them, just going through life, and everything kept falling down. And my greatest excuse was everyday life. I had family to pertain to, I had a job. Things were just filling in the news, any excuse that I could come up with. And some of them were very valid that was just getting in the way. But there was one factor that wasn't happening. And the reason that it wasn't was because of something that you and I share in common, procrastination. Procrastination is a human disease. It is a human factor. It is the difference between getting what you want and just wanting it. The biggest difference between wanting a great life and experiencing one. So today, we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about how to do what you want when you really don't know how to do it, what to do when you fail, and the best next steps. We're going to load you up with everything that you need. You'll have the responsibility of doing it, but we're going to load you up today with everything you need to make those dreams happen. When I wrote my first book, it took me 15 years. Yes, 15 years. Now, that doesn't mean that I was writing a book for 15 years. That means that for about 13 of them, I kept procrastinating. I kept thinking it wasn't good enough and putting it off. Have you done this with an idea of your own that you keep putting it on the shelf and it's there for you, and you know that one day you can get back to it, but the momentum toward it just dies because you visit it, you dabble in it. One day, I met the most wise person I've ever talked to, and I was able to, in this conversation, ask him, I said, what is the key factor in living my dreams and getting that vision to become reality? You know what he said to me? He said, first of all, you don't want to hear what I've got to say. It's not for everybody. It's a very painful process. It's a short, painful process. But I'll tell you the secret to life. He looked both ways and he said, start. It blew me away because it works. And it sounds like a cliche, but it's not. You have to start and stick with it. A very good friend of mine who does construction work, I noticed that he's always taking on projects that he told me he doesn't really know how to do. Well, I asked him, I was quite envious. I asked him one time, I said, well, where do you get the training to do something like that, to build something like that, to fix the things you're talking about? And he just simply said, start. And then he explained, he said, once you start, the next step becomes apparent. And you research it, you ask questions, you get people involved. He said, but absolutely, just go out and begin, physically begin to engage in the goals and the steps that are going to make your dream a reality. And when you wake up tomorrow, do the same. Begin, get it going, get that momentum going. And you know as well as I do, once you cause something, you will be able to grab that momentum and carry it forward. It doesn't mean you've finished, but it does mean you're in that process. Sticking with it is so important. You start and just roll downhill, and when the tough times come, you're going to be better prepared to handle it. So, what do you do when you fail? Well, most people, when they fail, they find a reason to quit. It didn't work. And again, it seems valid. You tried, it didn't work. Your life is going to implode if that is your attitude. Think back on your greatest accomplishments. How did you move on? How did you decide to? And what did it give you in those great accomplishments? Were they easy? Of course not. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a great accomplishment. While there is a time to understand when to quit something so that you can move on to a bigger one, quitting because it didn't work is one of the greatest causes and the beginnings of depression and disappointment about life. It filters your view of what you're capable of, because all of a sudden you start to compound your capability is quitting. Your capability is not achieving. When you stick with it, it's uncomfortable. Trust me, when I finished that book, it was the hardest work I had ever done in my life. But I finished it. And I was so proud. Even if the content of that book didn't reach my standard, I gave it my best and I finished. You can do this with everything that you dream to do in life. And you may come up with a mediocre result, but you have learned now. You can move forward with that and decide, well, what would I have done differently? And that brings us to the last subject of what to do next. So you start and you pursue it. What do you do after you fail? Pick yourself up, start again, and get involved. What do you do now? I had the pleasure of studying with a great guitarist, a world-renowned guitarist named William Kennengeiser. And in it, I was explaining to him that I had a lot of stage anxiety, stage fright, what they call it. And so I asked him, after he got done playing a passage, and I could feel the nerves in me, and I was just thinking too much, I said, what do you think about when you're on stage playing intricate passages like that are so challenging? And he looked at me, and he said, I just asked myself, what's next? It seems so easy, but he's right. All he did, he just constantly just keeps rolling forward by saying, what's next? What's next? So when you get involved and you start your goal and you end up at a point where you're going to fail, and you're probably going to because you're challenging your ability. You're trying to reach outside of your ability. So expect that you will fail. Expect that you will be disappointed, but also expect that you will ask what's next. When you do ask what's next, involve other people in the answer. Your mind is what created that vision. But other people, their skills, their ideas, the way they see your perspective is going to help you reach that finish line. This is a main factor in getting what you want, is to collaborate on your ideas. It does not mean that you've got to share your inspiration to the point that you involve somebody as a coworker, but it does mean your mind and your visions may not be enough. Every inventor, composer, and parent all share this commonality, that they know that their mind is not enough to reach those finish lines. And those finish lines really are just the next day, picking yourself up, continuing, and doing your best. In the end, isn't that the best result? That you've done your best. Now, I would appreciate it if you could send me some of the insights of how you're conquering what holds you back by using these. These will work, by the way. These are principle to life. But we've run out of time, and before I go, I'm going to share with you another no bow tie experience. I'm going to give you a little solo guitar, and hope you enjoy it. Be sure to subscribe. We're getting better and better every day. Tune in next week. We'll see you. Okay, this is a little Beethoven thing. This is from that Ode to Joy. You know that one. Well, I took the words from it and put it to a reggae thing. Transcribed it to English. Always breaking the rules. Went something like this. Let the light melt the clouds of the sin and the sadness of the dark, of the doubt, drive the dark, you drive it away. See the light of the day. All the word that surrounds, and I see that you're calling me. The earth and heaven, know they better reflect all the rays. See the light of the day. It's all the field and forest vale, mountain bursting gale. I see them looking at you coming, and you might just be an angel saying, get down the river, 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 get down the river. Let the light melt the clouds of the sin and the sadness of the dark of the doubt, and you drive it on.